Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Doctor Who and Autism Celebrations, a series to celebrate Doctor Who and also a series to celebrate autism. Because this year is the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, one of the reasons why this series is happening. So today I'm joined with Samuel, and we're going to be speaking about Doctor Who and autism. So Samuel, it's great to have you on today. Would you mind introducing yourself a little bit?
Well, hi everyone. My name is Samuel Huber from Huber Family Adventures on Instagram. I'm 34 years old. I was diagnosed with autism at age 14. I've been a big Doctor Who fan since 2012. So I think the start of Matt Smith's era. And it happened because I was studying abroad in London, and there's all these blue boxes everywhere. I'm like, what is this? And I ended up asking someone, and they're like, "Oh, it's Doctor Who. It's basically the TV show of the last 50 years." And so I basically spent the next couple of weeks going down the rabbit hole, watching from 9 all the way up to what was then, and since then I've been following New Who and obsessing over New Who, and uh, it was nice to see quirky, eccentric people like myself, and it just was nice to relate to something just as as unique as I am.
Yeah, yeah. It is great show, isn't it, Doctor Who?
Yeah, the best show. Like even when you don't necessarily agree with the choice for the Doctor, there's always something to enjoy and some Easter egg to look for. As an autistic person, I love because I'm a visual person, so I'm always looking for an Easter egg in each episode, and I spent God knows how many hours with making up theories of where the show's going
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and the show's just it's a place for people that are different. When the Doctor always makes room for everyone. Everyone's important to him. And growing up autistic, I think the big challenge is like you don't really feel important because you're kind of shoved away in these dark, dingy classrooms, and no one really ever really talks to you. But if the Doctor were ever to stumble upon you, he would definitely talk to you, or she would talk to you. And I think that's why it's so alluring to people on the spectrum,
yeah,
because it really, the Doctor is always just so clever, and we always feel so clever, and when we just want to show how clever we are just as much as the Doctor does.
definitely. And the Doctor is like, it is good because the Doctor, you can see the differences from the Doctor. Like you may see sensory things, like maybe for like playing with their TARDIS console, being silly, and stuff like that. I always say Matt Smith, like the 11th Doctor, does that quite a lot. He plays around with his TARDIS like it's his toy, and it is it is good. They do have a good like. I find a lot of you find lots of autistic people connect to the show of Doctor Who purely because the way it is, because it's different. Like you say, it's different. Like everyone can fit in. No matter what you have.
Yeah, and that's why Matt's definitely my favorite Doctor, because the way moves his fingers, especially like they're always flapping about. And I love during the 50th anniversary when the War Doctor is like, "You always have to be flapping about," and he's like, "Yes, no, yes," and like because that's how my hands move when I'm really excited about something. So it was like seeing myself on screen. Uh, and yeah, like how the Doctor strokes the TARDIS, and autistic people are that way with their special interest. If it's a physical thing, we might even like the Doctor call it sexy. When no one else is around.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And the Doctor talks to the TARDIS as well. Um,
Yeah,
Like I always remember that scene right at the start of when Amy was traveling with the Doctor, and she got her own room, and the Doctor was just talking to the TARDIS like no one else was in the room. So, um, that's why I think like that's a really good thing about the 11th Doctor is that he is very. You could say he's got autistic traits from our point of views. Um, but yeah, he just does all these kind of things. Um, like it could be communication, struggling to answer people, and the way they want to be heard. So yeah, like you can just see a lot of the similarities between maybe between us to him.
Yeah, and then you have Peter, where like his companion has to literally hand him the correct response card. Like, am I being rude again? Like, he's just so caught up in his genius, he doesn't realize that he's pissing people off, which is another autistic thing. Like, when we're really excited talking about something, we don't realize, oh, this is a sad moment. We're supposed to pull back and show empathy and not continue on being brilliant. Uh, like that's
Yeah,
another Aspie trait that the Doctor possesses. Just like so caught up in being brilliant
yeah.
that
He
he needs literally someone to be standing over his shoulder, a companion, and handing him cue cards when uh, and as an autistic person, I can really relate to that. Like having a parent or a therapist hanging over my shoulder, like, no, this is the correct way to respond.
Yeah, I remember when the 12th Doctor did that. Um, I think it was that episode. I forgot what the episode was called, but yeah, he was showing all these cue cards. And he sent some wrong things, I think, as well, which made it a little bit more funnier. Um, but it was good to show that because sometimes we don't know what to say. We don't know what's the right thing to say sometimes.
All right. And then the also thing is when the Doctor doesn't know what to do, he hides behind his intelligence and that's something that is yet another Aspie trait that we don't know what to do. We just show off how smart we are. Uh, but then there's also I think the Doctor's compassion for humanity, always trying to move us forward, always do the right thing, uh, which is I think great Aspie inventors like Tesla and Einstein share that trait of just like wanting to move humanity forward. And the other thing is no one's ever really sure is the Doctor real or not in this show, and it reminds me of how so many Aspie scientists have invented things, but no one's really aware that how much we've contributed. And it's the same way with the Doctor. No one knows he's like influenced the world so much. We get the word doctor from him, but no one would know that, And I can really relate to that feeling of that. There's like we're in the background, making the world a better place.
Yeah. He does really make the world a better place. He doesn't just make the world in Doctor Who a better place. He just makes everyone's world a better place from just saving the universe. Um, it would be nice to actually have a Doctor in this universe. Really.
Well, maybe there is. We don't know.
Hmm,
I mean, the Doctor has erased himself from record several times throughout the 50 years, so he could be out there, or she could be out there. We just, it's just all a mystery.
yeah. Who
We never
knows?
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? Like, but it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Samuel, with because we got the 60th coming up, did you have any are you excited for it to see David Tennant back and
I'm very excited about it. But I want some new twists and turns. Even though I'm excited that David's back and Donna gets a proper goodbye, because I didn't like the way they wrote off her character, just not even remembering the Doctor. So that's all the companions have in the end is their memories with him, because he doesn't like to say goodbye. And I hope that she gets to somehow remember him after all is said and done, and I'm excited to see Doctor 15, see what he brings to the table. It's always I'm always very nervous when there's a new doctor because you're like, am I gonna like this doctor? Yeah, are they going to be able to capture the rage of the doctor, the kindness, the whole persona? Uh, even though like Jodie, like I just think she was just poorly written, but she had all the elements to make a great doctor. And I'm happy that Davis is back. That's the biggest thing I'm excited about. The one who rebooted Doctor Who in 2003, I think. Uh, I'm happy that he's back at the helm, and uh, I'm ready for a new adventure in the with the Madman and the Blue Box.
Yeah, I do like that song. Yeah, I am very excited as well. I think it's going to be really interesting what happens. 15th Doctor looks really good. From like seeing all like the costumes that he's going to be wearing. But I am very excited. Like to have. I haven't been probably excited for a while. Like probably a lot of people haven't been excited like this maybe for a little while. Maybe since like Matt was in it and Peter a little bit. But it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward that we have three specials with, like you say, it's to say goodbye. I think to say goodbye of Donna and the Doctor. I think the pair of them are just gonna. It's sort of like a reunion farewell, really, isn't it?
All right, yeah, because he wants to play the Doctor one more time before he gets too old to play the role. Uh, but I'm also just excited to see if we're gonna see any other Doctors besides David, and also solve the mystery of why did the Doctor regenerate backwards. I want that's the biggest mystery I'm excited to see. Like, why did he choose that face? Why did he go backward? Like, that has to be answered.
Yeah,
Or is it an illusion created by the toy maker, Patrick Harris's thing that the 15th Doctor is actually underneath David Tennant's character?
yeah. 15th Doctor might be trapped.
Yeah.
He might be stuck somewhere else, like the 15th Doctor. Which is
Yeah.
which is exciting. It's going to be exciting to see where the 15th Doctor fits into all of it.
Yeah. And I'm excited that the guy who wrote like scores like "I Am the Doctor" during Matt Smith's era is back, and I just think we're gonna see yet another revival of the show because I think it just dropped off with Peter's inconsistent writing and Jodie being I think trying too hard to be woke. Not that there's anything wrong with being woke, but like I just felt they were trying too hard. Because Doctor Who is already ahead of its time in gender roles, helping people that are different. And I'm ready to get back into the single companion twist and turns narrative that we've all come to love. And
Yeah, I think it's good that like I think it was good that it like with Jodie being the first female and Shooty being the first gay black actor to play the role of the Doctor. So I think that they're making changes, making it more inclusive. I think with those decisions, and making connecting other communities like the disabled community, when they got the transgender community with Yasmin Finney. So, and they're connecting a lot of us autistic people to the show even more now. I think because only the last couple of years I found autistic people really connect with Doctor Who, and has done since the revival, which I found really surprising at first. But Doctor Who is connecting a lot of communities together.
yeah, that's what I also like about how most of the show goes when it comes to introducing different groups is it's more casual than like the whole episode is surrounded. This person is black or gay or whatever. Like the Doctor, during Matt Smith's era would casually mention, "Oh, I had I made a cyborg boyfriend once," and like that. Just, the showing the Doctor's sexuality is very fluid, but like it's not the focus of his or her character. It's just that's the brilliance. Like everyone can identify with one of the doctors that has come before or will come, and I think that's really how to feel people make feel included. That they're just there, um, and you're just exploring who this person is and what they bring to,
Yeah,
and uh,
yeah, I agree. It is
like I
true.
don't need the doctor to be like openly autistic to know that he or she probably is, because like we've been talking about this whole episode, like the signs have been there, missing social cues, wrapped up in how brilliant they are, he or she is, setting the world right without asking to be thanked. As you said, stimming on the council, talking to it like it's a live person, and the TARDIS is alive, and the Doctor always gets that and treats it with respect, and you'll see that in Aspie. So it's like we just it makes me feel seen and heard when I see someone just openly being themselves without the focus being on are they Aspie or not. They just are.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think like each doctor shows their own kind of signs to autistic, but like signs that could be autistic. But I think it's very important that they don't like because the doctor is an alien from outer space. Like the doctor doesn't know anything different. Like the doctor isn't human. And sometimes we feel like that. Like like autistic people can
Mm-hmm.
feel that way when we don't get heard, when we don't get understood, when we have to explain ourselves a dozen times, what the doctor has to feel like, I think, sometimes, like explaining things over and over and no one gets it. And that is
Right.
I think that's where we can relate there, like explaining autism to someone that doesn't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I get, and that is a true that like I do feel like an alien sometimes, like trying to relate to these humans
Yeah.
and trying to understand them. It creates this compassion for them, for neurotypicals, and uh, yeah, like it's a show for everyone. Like my wife's neurotypical, and she can sometimes get into it, or like I've had friends who are like everyone can get into it. It's like the only show I can think of that it literally has something for everybody.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
yeah, because we may have a favorite doctor that someone
right, you just
relates
gotta
more.
find when you're introducing someone to the show, you just gotta find them the right doctor. Like,
Hmm.
okay, you're kind of like the fifth doctor. Let's start there. Okay, you're like 12. Let's start. And that's why the show is I think lasted so long because there's just so many different personalities in one being.
Yeah, there's so many different like the doctor is so different to the next doctor. They may have similarities. So like I always say that the Matt and like 11th Doctor and the 13th Doctor are similar in ways with like their laughter and the way they are. And the Ninth Doctor and the 12th Doctor are very similar in ways too. To how arrogant they are and like they just don't care, which I do like. Because I think like a lot of us worry about what other people may think of us out there in the world. And like being autistic, we can feel like that sometimes. Like, if I do this, what are they going to think of me? But I think what the Ninth Doctor and the 12th Doctor can show there is that they don't care. They don't care. They just do what is you. And I think they do show good representation for that. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice to geek out about the doctor because it's really also helped me understand like people as the doctor learns to understand different people, different alien races, and all the while just making up as he goes along. And that's why I always relate to, regardless of which doctor is, that feeling of you're making up as you go along. Because as you know, an autistic person, the world always seems new to you. And for the doctor, like every room he steps into, he always looks in it with new eyes. You know, even though he's now millions of years old, he's still has that curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the doctor doesn't look 900 odd year old person. The doctor doesn't like the companions don't think that, and I think the companions like some companions can show them traits as well, like how they are. Like a lot of the time, Amy Pond like told a lot of the stuff to the doctor, but not to Rory. And I
Right.
think that was like being comfortable with saying certain things. Like knowing the doctor is gonna keep her safe. So um, it's just about, I guess, who the person is, how much you trust them. Because it can be hard, like being autistic, it can be hard to trust people. It can be hard to let someone in. And I feel like that's maybe what Amy felt a little bit. Um, really.
Yeah. And that's what's interesting about the companions is like it's almost like the neurotypical person coming along for the ride. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's always like the general they supposed to represent the general audience, like just following along with the doctor. Usually, they're very, played by very neurotypical ish people. Uh,
Yeah.
and we all and I relate to it because my wife's neurotypical, and I often sometimes if she feels like she's along for the ride, I'm ranting about something. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Like.
and
Yeah.
I often point to her out when the show's on, like the way that the doctor relates to a companion, like that's how I'm trying to relate to you. It's a great visual.
Yeah. Because I think the doctor helps the companion a lot, and the companion, like, I don't think the doctor allows maybe someone else to help the doctor. I think the doctor just wants to do it on his own, doesn't want any help, just wants to do it alone. And I think sometimes the companions do put a lot of pressure on the doctor, maybe like peer pressure, like sometimes, like
Mhm.
expecting the doctor to do this, expecting the doctor to do this, because the doctor is only a person. And I think sometimes they just need to take a step back and I think which is why when I think the Clara and the Doctor took a bit of space purely because of that reason. Yeah. Um, it is one of those things that happens in Doctor Who. And can happen in life as well. Like a lot of these things in Doctor Who we relate to
Mhm.
in our everyday lives. Which is why like which is the good thing about the show. Like it's like it's a comfort show, isn't it? That you just watch it if you're maybe having a bad day, if you're having a good day. It's just something that I think you're never gonna get bored of, are you?
Yeah, I definitely it's definitely my go-to when I have a bad day. And even though I watched like the new Who episodes like a half a million times, like there's always some like line the doctor says that's foreshadowing something. Like, oh, I missed that. There's like always something to focus on, new to focus on. Uh, and the fact that I still have to go through old Who, like I made it through first few Doctors, but like I had to track down the other episodes, and like the fact that there's always just something new to see and experience with the Doctor.
Yeah.
It's just a show that can never grow old because
No.
Simpsons has been around for 30 years here in America, but like I've gotten tired of Homer because Homer has not changed in 30 years. The Doctor has become completely different people for 50 years.
Yeah. There's
But it is nice that when you go through, you always remember, as Matt says, that where you've been, the faces that you've been before in his Israel, and then you'd find traces of every Doctor in every new Doctor.
yeah. Like you connect to each Doctor in a different way. Like you like so you're like Matt Smith for a certain reason, maybe because relations, like the way he does things, like you said about the movement of his hands. Um, like he moves his hands a lot when he's talking, which is a common thing. Like sometimes I'll do it and you won't even notice it. Like you're doing this, you're waving him about. And I did find that funny in the 50th when he was questioned about that. Um, um, but yeah, that was pretty funny. But I think with like you do certain things, it may be a thing to calm you down. Like I don't know if you're being like really if you're being really overstimulated, and you'll do this to it's part of you, and no like one can change that because that's the way you do it.
Yeah, for me, like when I move my hands out like he does, it's more of like helping my thought processes move forward, and I think that's what it is. It's usually trying to work something out. Like, all right, how do I defeat this alien while keeping him or her distracted? And when I'm multitasking, I often move my hands in a similar way, and it's helping to connect the dots.
Yeah,
And often the doctor has a very stoic face, and there's not much going on, but with his hands, there's so much expression, which is so autism that I always tell people if you want to know what I'm feeling, don't look at my face, look at my hands. Uh, the doctor is always doing something with his hands, whether it's to defeat the alien menace or communicate something,
yeah.
and that is just so autism.
Yeah, he's always communicating in some way. He's always really happy. The 11th Doctor, I find, is trying to be as happy as he can, but sometimes he has to put his foot down sometimes when he's really serious. And I like when each Doctor does that, they have a dark side to them. And that's what I'm really interested to see, like the 14th and 15th Doctor. What really gets to them? Like, why do they get annoyed at certain things? And you
Yeah.
find that.
And yeah, I enjoy and I think that's what's been missing from the Doctor is the rage of the Doctor. Uh, okay, the Time War got reversed and everything, which I think took away, at least in the New Who, the rage of his that rage that he carried with him over the Time War, uh, and I think that's something that's been missing from the character for a while, and I'm hoping that 15 brings it back before. Okay, whatever the new guy, whatever number he chooses to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's another big thing with autism that we all get pushed to a certain point that emotion comes out. But I've learned a lot over the years of what do you do with that rage that just explodes out of you. The doctor always chooses to do the right thing, even though he's angry. Uh, and that's always been a big lesson that I've taken away as an autistic person. That even when you're feeling so much, you still always have a choice.
Yeah, you do, and like there's been situations in Doctor Who where you have to press the button. There's a big red button, and like, do
Yeah,
you choose to press this button, or do you what are you gonna do? So you always have a choice when like everything in life, you always have a choice if you want to do it or you don't. Don't always feel over pressured by someone else to do a decision that you don't feel is right. Okay.
yeah, and that's the power. Like that's one of my favorite quotes from Peter is even if all you have is bad choice left, you still have a choice, and what you choose to do. And yeah, like during the Pompeii episode, the doctor had to choose between killing everybody or just killing 10,000. It's compelling drama.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, that was very good. That episode. The fires of
yeah.
Pompeii. Um, I think yeah. But was that your favorite quote? What was your favorite
I'm
quote
sorry,
again?
what?
What was your favorite quote again,
Well, my
Samuel?
favorite quote. like there are so many that the doctor says, but I would say the my favorite one comes from Matt when Amy's sleeping and he's fading away. He says, "We're all stories in the end, so make it a good one, eh?"
Yeah.
Because it always that quote always reminds me that like my story's not over yet. That I can keep pushing on. You know, keep whatever struggle I'm going through. There's always a way out. And when I always find that way out, I always play the theme. I'm the doctor when I figure it out. Because I always loved it when Matt, figures out the solution during his reign, and then all of a sudden you hear that cue music and like you realize the doctor's won the day. And so every time I win the day, I play that, and the fact that good or bad, I know my life's going to be a good story, and that's why I love that quote.
Yeah. I think that's a good quote too. I really like that one. Like we're all stories in the end because we are. It's the fact of it. We will all be some story in the end of it all. And yeah, I do like that quote. I love when they bring new ones out that we're just going to remember because quotes in Doctor Who are important in our life. It's which why I ask and why I think it's a really good way to like to end the episode. Um, but thank you, Samuel. I hope you've enjoyed coming on.
All right, thank you for having me. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the 60th anniversary because I think it's going to be a whopper.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely it's gonna be really awesome, and yeah, we'll definitely have to catch up when we've seen it and let each other know what we think of what happened. Um, that's gonna be really cool. But
Definitely.
to anyone watching, listening today, we hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Doctor Who and Autism celebrations. And we will see you in the next episode. But I hope you all have a nice rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And yeah, enjoy the 60th. Enjoy the the rest of your day. And thank you again, Samuel.
All right, thank you. Let's make our life brilliant.